I'm Dorothy Buchanan Wilson, International President, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Welcome to Conversations.
Love, love.
We are excited to have with us auto industry powerhouse Soror Jenell Ross, president of the Bob Ross Auto Group in Dayton, Ohio. Soror Jenell, welcome to Conversations.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority is an organization that is about legacy and heritage. And certainly your family's legacy and heritage in the auto industry is something that our members worldwide should be aware of. And I'd like to just share a couple of thoughts with them in terms of what has happened with your family over the last 4 decades. You have the distinction of being the first African-American Mercedes-Benz dealership in the world, and also your family owns Buick, GMC, Mercedes-Benz, and Fiat dealerships, which makes you one of the largest, I believe, and probably one of the certainly pioneering auto dealerships in the country, and more importantly, among African Americans probably in the world. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have grown up in the auto industry, and as you stated, my father became a dealer 40 years ago. And it's something that I've lived and always wanted to be involved in the industry. And I still recall Sundays of going to work with him and jumping in and out of cars. And it's been a true blessing to be able to continue what my parents started so long ago. And that's what motivates me on a daily basis, to make sure that I'm preserving their legacy and building on that for all the obstacles they endured. And wasn't always an easy time for them to be an African American in the automobile industry as a dealership owner.
Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority is an organization of many firsts. Your family, obviously, is a family of many firsts. And now you are one of the first, as the first African American female, certainly to be in your position. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, at this time, I am the only second-generation African-American female owner of a dealership in the country. And so that's not one that I want to retain that title. I'm anxiously awaiting for others to join the ranks. But it's very humbling. And at the same time, that is something that I continue to want to strive for, to bring more women into all facets of our industry.
What have been some of the changes or challenges that you've experienced as a woman in a very male-dominated industry?
Well, it is a very male-dominated industry, and it's one that a lot of times I say I'm educating those males in the industry that there can be women, and there are women who can do what they're doing and maybe do it a little better. So I always take that opportunity to teach. My mother was in education, so I guess there's some of that instilled in me. And that's just what I feel is something that I should do.
And certainly we've all heard stories, those of us who know your family stories, about your father and certainly his impact in the industry. Talk a little about what that meant 40 years ago and what it means today in terms of him being a trailblazer and someone who broke barriers.
I mean, he was truly a pioneer for African-American dealership owners in the automobile industry. Being the first African-American owned Mercedes-Benz dealer 35 years ago was a tall order. And this is a gentleman who never went to college, so he wanted to make sure that his kids did have that opportunity. And those type of things, you know, you just don't take for granted. And he put all his sweat and tears into the business, into us, and that's really what continues for me to be motivated today.
The auto industry went through a tough period and has made a tremendous comeback. If you could use that as a metaphor for your life, what would you say has been an area where you've had a major comeback in recent years?
Well, the untimely passing of my father. I was 27 years old and he was only 62, so not thinking that he would not be with us for a number of years in his role as president. But my family, my mother took the helm, excuse me, and I took over as day-to-day operations. And so it was kind of, you were thrown in by fire. But due to the longevity of our staff and key managers, they knew that they were a part of a great organization, and so they were very willing to assist when needed to make sure that what we had continued. And that would be a huge something to overcome.
And you talked about being thrust into the limelight at the age of 27. How did you make the decision that you would carry on the legacy and more importantly, assume the role of president one day? Or was that made for you by your mother?
Well, I didn't become president until, unfortunately, she passed. But handling the day-to-day operations of, at that time, 150 people at the age of 27, when most of our managers were male and much older than I, there was no question. I mean, at that point, we'd been in the business for 23 years, and there was no doubt in our minds that we weren't going to continue what he had started. And it was just, we were on autopilot.
That must have been an awesome responsibility to basically be entrusted with carrying on something that was started almost 4 decades ago. Talk a little bit more about that.
It's a daunting task, and one that still stays with me, not in the back of my mind, but it's right there at the front. And it's something that I take very seriously. I don't take lightly what I do. I love what I do, and I love the people that I work with. And they don't work for me, we work together, because we all have responsibilities to make the team work. And it's just, I find it a joy every day to be able to live what they've started and try to take that to the next level, to leave my mark in the industry as well.
One of the things you're known for is delivering quality with a personal touch. How do you continue to instill that in your management day in and day out?
Well, I feel that I am very engaged with my team at all times. In fact, we have a day full of activities tomorrow that will culminate the year's events for their efforts and what they mean to us. And it's, I just love what I do. And the people that I am there with, it makes it all happen.
Great, great. In addition to your very busy life as president of the auto group named in honor of your father, Bob Ross, you're also very involved with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. And I had an opportunity a few years ago to be at a conference where you initiated something in honor of your mother that continues today. Talk to us a little bit about the Pink Ribbon Driven campaign.
Well, Pink Ribbon Driven actually came out of an idea from my goddaughters, and they wanted to do something to memorialize my mother as a part of her foundation. So she passed with breast cancer, unfortunately, and who isn't driven to find a cure for the pink ribbon? But being in automotive, it fits of being pink ribbon driven. So at this time, I'm very excited. 2 years ago, we have trademarked Pink Ribbon Driven, and we've done some things specifically for Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated that symbolizes what everyone is striving to do is to find a cure for the pink ribbon.
Right. In addition to this campaign, you're also very involved with your chapter. I happen to know that personally because I've visited your chapter and I know a lot of your members, and they talk often about how you as a busy executive find time to balance with Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority. Could you please share some advice with our sorors about how to strike that balance?
Well, everything is balance, and it's also prioritizing and scheduling, which sometimes we do feel, and I'm sure you feel, that you're scheduled for 24 hours of a day, needing another 2 hours. But if it's something that you've committed to, and being a part of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I have 23 years, illustrious a part of this organization, but you have to be dedicated and committed because we are there to assist and serve our communities and one another, and you have to make time. And those are the things that are important in being a part of our organization.
Right. Thank you. And moving back to the business side for just a moment, for those women who are interested in starting a business and wanting to be entrepreneurs, what advice would you give them?
I would say to never give up on your dreams, to stay focused. I know that sounds very cliche. There's always going to be those that don't want you to succeed and will try to derail you on what you want to do. And I've faced that, but you have to be willing to persevere and continue to grow. You can learn so much, and nobody can take that knowledge away from you, and knowledge is power.
Right. And then one last question. Could you talk to us a little about what it means to live fearlessly? Because clearly you're an example of that.
Wow, to live fearlessly is, to me, to be courageous and to live the way you want to be the way you want to live, and be comfortable with that. And I know I've faced a lot of obstacles in my time, and those aren't always easy, but to get to the other side of that is progress.
Right. Sorry, Jenell Ross, thank you so much for joining us on Conversations. Continued success to you in your role as president of the Bob Ross Auto Group. We look forward to even more great things in the years ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us for this episode of Conversations, where we've had as our special guest, Sarah Jenell Ross.